Speaker, I rise today to remind Congress that small business and consumers all over the country are feeling the repercussions of President Biden's spending spree. It's very simple. President Biden's so-called rescue plan has directly caused a crisis we're seeing on the farm and on Main Street. Injecting $1.9 trillion of government spending into the economy without a clear plan for execution has increased cost and disrupted the supply chain. All government spending must be paid for somehow, and Americans are paying for it with inflation. Since February of 2020, the amount of money in the economy has grown by over 26%. So it comes as no surprise that Americans are experiencing the highest price increases since the Great Recession. Consumer prices for used cars and trucks have risen by more than 24%. And costs have increased 11.2% for furniture, 9.6% for household appliances, 6% for utilities, and 5.6% for clothing. President Biden promised to raise taxes only on wealthy Americans, but these price increases happening under his direction are a tax on every American. Inflation-adjusted wages are down nearly 2% since President Biden took office, and with the Democrats planning to continue their reckless tax and spend habits, American families can expect the cost of living to keep going up. As if rising costs weren't enough, this administration's so-called rescue plan has created a labor shortage that is weakening our supply chain and leaving manufacturers and business owners high and dry. Early this month, I hosted a manufacturing tour across my district in Kansas where I visited small businesses that produce and sell products like highway signs, car accessories, and industrial valves. These businesses are the driving forces in their communities, but the leaders who run them all painted the same bleak picture. Vendor costs are rising, labor is hard to come by, and a weakened supply chain is slowing everything down. The Grasshopper Company in Mound Ridge, Kansas builds and sells mowers and landscaping tools, the same ones used by the White House groundskeepers. Grasshopper is facing longer lead times on vendor items than they've ever seen, and the prices on raw materials like steel seem to be rising daily. To meet their customer demand on time, Grasshopper had to pay an extra $28,000 air freight fee. Back in July, Grasshopper's disrupted supply chain and increased costs of doing business forced them to raise the price of their goods mid-season, something they've not had to do since the Carter administration. Another manufacturing company in my district told me that the supply chain backlog has made it impossible to plan for their future. Their suppliers are telling them that essential inputs like electronics components will now take at least 5 to 6 months before they even ship. Before this year, they never had to wait longer than 4 weeks. Sadly, these are just two examples from Kansas' big first district. Small businesses all over the country are being forced to raise their costs due to supply chain issues, inflation impacting their own inputs, labor shortages, or all of the above. To get inflation under control, strengthen the supply chain, and stop consumer costs from rising even further, we need to get Americans back to work, stop the vaccine mandate, quit recklessly printing money, and end the spending addiction here in Washington.